As usual, lots going on in the world. I'm going to bring Rick up and we're going to talk about what's happening. I know that there's usually conversations about Israel and Ukraine, and I know that Sasha will be on later on today with his usual suspects to talk about that situation and all along those lines. But there's a number of things going on in the world. We've got things happening in Africa, in Australia, in Europe, of course, and a number of other places. And while I try to get this computer up and running, we'll be finding out about some of these things that are taking place and everything like that. I know Rick's not feeling all that well, but that's okay. We'll make it work. And all along those lines. So, how are you doing today, Rick? I think you told me you were
Okay, I
still
just keep getting.
suffering.
I'm not bad. I've just got this light case of COVID that won't go away, and it's adding new symptoms. Today it's itchiness, so I'm on Benadryl. So we'll see if I fall asleep in the middle of the show. So yeah, Israel has announced its. This is from the AP. Said it will intensify its 22-month war with Hamas by taking over Gaza City, which is the capital of the Gaza Strip. And Israel already occupies 75% of the Gaza Strip, with which is this part of Palestine is 150 square miles. Israel, is already all over it. 78% of the buildings in the entire territory have been damaged or destroyed. So it's hard to imagine further escalation, but Netanyahu says they are going to escalate the war. And, a ton of people, including the UN, are saying that this is in part ethnic cleansing and war crimes. It's hard to believe that this is what is really required to stop Hamas, who need to be obliterated. But most people think it's mostly Netanyahu continuing the war, because once the war ends, he'll be kicked out of office and prosecuted for years of fraud.
Oh, wow. So he's just trying to stay in this war in order to stay in power. Seems like a lot of people do that.
75 years old. If he can stay in power another couple of years, then any trial that he goes, it will take him into his 80s, and then he can argue that he's too old to be put in prison.
Yeah, too old for prison.
It's similar to Trump, who Trump wanted to get reelected, among other reasons, to stop any prosecution.
Yeah, definitely stop that prosecution and all along those lines. Are you seeing anything happening in where your daughter used to live in? I know that sometimes England can have some interesting news and all along those lines. So are we seeing anything interesting in the European theater?
Just that, I don't know, they did some kind of survey over the past couple of days that found that most Brits are strongly anti-further immigration.
Oh, wow.
Which, a lot of the attitudes in the U.S. and in England have been amplified by waves of bullshit posts coming out of Russia. Russia loves an angry populace, a divided population in Western democracies.
Yeah, they love that. That's one of their big things to do, is to divide and conquer. I think that's one of the old adages of the military, is divide and conquer as much as possible and all along those lines. So yeah, they love to do that in just about any conflict and everything like that. Looks like we might be having an actual ceasefire that's working, because it looks like Thailand and Cambodia might actually be at peace, at least for now, and everything like that. So that's good news, that there can be ceasefires that work, and at least that's what it looks like. I think they sent an organization called ASEAN down to monitor it and make sure that it's actually working, but it does seem like there's been a lot of disruption as of yet. So hey, ceasefires can actually work, it looks like.
Okay. So how long has this conflict been going on, or at least the hot part of it?
The hot part, it's a relatively new conflict. It's not like what I think Russia has been going on, Russia and Ukraine for about.
Here's I found an article says a truce on July 28th brought an end to 5 days of clashes between Cambodia and Thailand.
Yeah, so it was a short conflict. So far, it's been short, and not like some of these other conflicts. Because what Russia and Ukraine have been about, I think they're getting ready to go on their fourth year and everything like
Yeah,
that. And then
yeah,
definitely, you know, Israel and Palestine have actually been going on for centuries, definitely decades, but probably closer to centuries, but definitely decades. So I don't know that that war will ever end. Just like there's that whole conflict that goes on, and I've mentioned a couple of the past shows between Ireland and the UK, and I don't know that that'll ever stop. Even though I don't hear that much about what
I
was
feel
the
like
terrorist
Ireland.
organization?
I feel like Ireland, northern, versus the UK has calmed down
Right.
considerably in the past 20 years, and they've had reconciliation. Um,
Yeah. Because you don't even hardly hear anything about the what was it, the IRA, or I think
yeah,
that's the
no,
name of the.
no, there was no. They've. I think they've. That's. I think that's very calmed down. Um, let's see. So we could talk about Washington D.C., where Trump wants
We've
to
got
take over the city.
we've got Nick joining us, but Nick's got his little Mickey Mouse voice going again as well, so we don't know what that's about. So he's got to go check on that noise because it sounds like Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, more like Donald Duck. Hey John, how you doing? You're on the car today.
Yeah, I'm just going to do some grocery shopping. You're on speaker, so everything's good.
Cool. How is the grocery shopping in Canada? How are the prices in Canada? Maybe I gotta do better grocery shopping in Canada versus the U.S. So how are the prices there?
Yeah, I don't pay attention. It doesn't concern me in the slightest. So, um, I whatever. Right now, I'm buying some fruits and vegetables, so we have access to good quality food. I don't look at prices.
Yeah, and
I
like
got
you
you.
get a discount in Canada anyway because the Canadian dollar is only worth 73 American cents. So even if the prices are the same or a little higher, they're not really because your dollar is worth less.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. So do you do the majority?
at the end of the day, we like again the cost of living here for me or my family, and I'm sure maybe others might complain, but no, I got nothing to complain about. As they say, I'm living the dream, and I've lived the dream for
Yep.
a long, long time. So I got nothing to complain about it here in Canada at all.
Cool. Do you do the majority of the shopping, or does your wife or do y'all split those duties?
I do most of it, and she'll, sometimes she wants to buy some clothes or stuff like that for herself or the kids. She'll do that. But in terms of the food, I buy.
Gotcha. How's the prices
And
over there
and
in
I don't see it. I don't see it as a chore because
right.
she'll say, okay, you go get the food, and she'll make the dinner. Or she might say if she wants to, like if she go gets the food, I have to go make I have to make the dinner. No, 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 no. She'll make the dinner. I'll go get the food.
So I looked up the cost of a dozen eggs in the U.S. and Canada because that is like a metric that people were yelling a lot during the election. Average cost of a dozen eggs in the U.S. is $4.95. Canada, it's $4.85, but you got to multiply that by 3/4, which takes you down to $3.75 because the Canadian dollar is worth less. So eggs are cheaper in Canada.
Eggs are
Yeah,
cheaper in Canada.
yeah,
Those chickens are doing
yeah. Right now, I need to buy a dozen of eggs, and yeah, they're under like $4 Canadian.
oh, that's not bad at all and everything. I was actually just watching a sitcom yesterday. I think it was Mandy and George or The Marriage of Mandy and George, but that was actually one of the themes, which is actually what we're talking about because the young lady had taken a job as a TV anchor, but then she wasn't paying rent. So her in-laws were trying to get her to understand that she needed to pay rent, even though she was enjoying some of the amenities of living in the home with her family. and everything like that. Hey Nick, how are you doing in terms of your new life in Spain? I think you told me that it's like, everything is lovely there and everything is sunny and you're taking siestas on a regular basis and everything like that. So is that still continuing? Are you taking a siesta every afternoon?
Absolutely. That's what they do when it gets hot here. It gets over 100 degrees. Everybody takes siesta. Next week, I will not be seeing anybody. I'll be in Prague. Very busy with a busy schedule in Prague in the Czech Republic. I did notice, but I didn't see that the news didn't seem to go too long. It looks like our friend Donald Trump will be up for the Nobel Peace Prize. He's getting.
There have been people that were trying to put him up for that and everything. I think Cambodia was trying to put him up, and there were a couple of other people that were trying to put him up for the Nobel Peace Prize. I guess they're saying that he has brought peace to a couple of these conflicts and everything. But there are also people that are fighting against this notion. So we'll see whether he actually gets it or not. So Rick,
it looks like he's bringing Azerbaijan and Armenia to the negotiation table in Washington, D.C. to sign a peace.
I find it highly unlikely that he'll win the Nobel Peace Prize, given that he's.
If he does get the stoppage of the Ukraine-Russia war, he will probably get the Nobel Peace Prize, and that will make all the progressives.
He said he would stop that war on day one in office. This is day.
Hey, look, if you
before
stop
day one. Before day one.
Hey, guys. Let's get real. How many wars did Joe Biden stop? Oh, none.
So what aboutism doesn't work? The notion of your whataboutism doesn't work. He promised. And you keep talking, I'll talk over you. He promised before day one. All right. So don't do whataboutism right now. Trump is the president.
Also,
don't talk about Biden. Don't talk about Obama. No,
I'm just
your argument.
The progressives are going to.
Your argument is silly.
No. All they want is their horrible agenda pushed on the American public, and they don't want to be objective.
So nobody was saying Biden deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. So I mean, it's if you want to compare, fine, but nobody said Biden. And
Nick is grasping.
Hold on, when they take international surveys, Trump is the most widely loathed person on the planet internationally. He's not very. I mean,
you know what he's good at? Being near the bottom of
matters. He's
always at the bottom of surveys from presidential scholars and historians.
All you want to.
At the bottom. Objective facts.
So Nick, are you sending in your nomination for Trump as well?
Pardon?
Are you sending in your nomination for Trump as well?
Near the bottom of surveys all the time. Presidential scholars and academics and historians at the bottom of the surveys continuously. So don't be talking about how Trump is fantastic. People
to be fair, there probably 20% of the world will answer
objective facts.
Well, no, probably 20% of the world likes Trump, but 60% of the world.
And if you look at it today, the stock market has hit all-time highs. Inflation is low. Immigration is, illegal immigration is down substantially.
Sorry, dude.
Hey, hold on a second.
Experts disagree with you. Disagree with you.
Hold on a second, because I want to get you
academics.
Hold on a second, Don. In the same category, hold on. I want to get to this because apparently Trump's tariffs are kicking in. Hold on. At the highest rate since the Great Depression. So this could impact whether he gets it or not. So they're saying that Trump's tariffs could raise prices on many consumer goods. They're talking about cars, coffee, and clothing are posed to get pricier with these new tariffs. So are we about to have some serious price impact on everything over here? I mean, we were just talking to Johnny talking about the price of eggs. So the price of eggs might be here about $12.
Well, let's go back to inflation. Hold on. Nick just said inflation is low. Inflation for June year over year was 2.7, up from.
I'm looking as things are, not as things that you wish to be, negative or positive.
So inflation is in the same range that it was in the last year under Biden. 2.4 for May, 2.7 for June. We'll see what the tariffs do. People are saying it could go either way, but I think most people expect that it will lead to a slight uptick in inflation.
Yeah, well, the thing is, what you just said is inflation. We're talking about the 2s, not the 9s to the 20s.
We haven't had that in since 2022.
All I'm saying is you got to look at the metrics. Look at the metrics.
Yeah, and one reason, the major reason that inflation was at 9% in 2022 internationally was busted supply chains and then greedflation, manufacturers jacking up their prices because they had cover from COVID. This was the inflation was part of COVID recovery.
Right.
Nick likes to deflect and distract. I have a question for Nick. So historians, these are experts, presidential scholars. Are they wrong placing Trump at the bottom? Are they wrong? Simple question. So do you know better than these experts? Are you saying you're an expert, Nick?
I didn't hear your question.
Presidential scholars. Hold on. Let me ask the question clearly so you can hear. Are presidential scholars and historians wrong when they place him near the bottom, if not the bottom of these surveys? Yes or no? I know you don't like yes or no questions.
Of course they're wrong because the thing is,
so you know better. So you know better than experts. This is
the thing is, when you're looking at these historians, you're looking at very adverse.
This is MAGA for you. Nick knows better than the experts.
So the thing is, just because they have
it's a cult, baby. It's a cult.
Aren't based on facts. I look at facts. I don't look at opinions. I've already got the people that do Trump fill in the blanks.
Nick, you're in a cult.
And right now, you guys are losing big time.
Yeah.
And it could get worse.
You guys are in a cult.
It's going to get better, but that's not true. Or doesn't have to be true. Now, there's another interesting thing he's doing. $15,000.
So, Nick, you know better than the experts. Got it. You're in a cult, baby.
You're purported experts, counselor. You haven't certified any of these experts in a court of law.
Yeah, I know. You know better than the experts.
I'll remind counselor, you're calling for a hypothetical.
This isn't hypothetical, Nick. Speaking of hypotheticals, apparently earlier today, hold on a second. Apparently earlier today, we got news about another major tariff situation. So even I think Trump said he is completely upset and everything because Trump's tariffs hit the India garment makers as the U.S. buyers say move production. So they're going to move away from India, even though India does a lot of the garment productions and everything like that. So apparently we've scrapped an Indian trade plan. So we had a trade plan with India. Now we've scrapped it because Trump doesn't like Modi's ideas. And apparently,
hold on. Before we go there, let's talk about Nick's point that certain travelers to the U.S. are being charged a $15,000 bond that they get back when they leave the U.S. if they leave the U.S. on time on their tourist visa. But the deal is, if you look at it, it only affects about 2,000 travelers a year. These are people from largely African and Middle Eastern countries, which have a record of visitors overstaying their visas in the U.S. So Trump wants to charge each of those people from those countries $15,000 to come to the U.S. So this will probably not do much to foreign tourism because it doesn't affect that many people. However, international tourism to the U.S. as of March was down 14% year over year because we're setting up a very inhospitable environment for foreign visitors. And foreign visitors are being charged, I think, a $500, either $250 or $500. All foreign visitors, $250 or $500 come to the U.S. fee, which is further discouragement.
No, it's actually a great idea. I mean, the thing is, In Spain is the second most visited country. The first is France, and the third is the US. When you have too many visitors, you start charging them fees. And when you have too many visitors who overstay their visa, which is the #1 reason for illegal immigration, you do this. And this is a great idea. I think it collects revenue, $15,000 to enter the US. Now they get it back, assuming they leave on time. If we're at 15,000, I think it's a great idea. Like I think
some of this is
illegal immigrants, as they should charge them fees. The U.S. needs revenue. I don't see any problem with that. I think it's
so the revenue that the U.S. might be getting is at the cost to income from tourism. The number of visitors to Vegas as of June was down 11.3% year over year. There are a number of articles that show that Vegas is looking pretty dead and desperate.
Well, speaking of that, and this could impact this could impact his Nobel Peace Prize as well. Because what is our thoughts around these bromances? Because remember, he had a bromance with Musk and everything, and apparently he had a bromance with Narendra Modi, and this is also falling apart as well because they're saying that they had done bear hugs and had been good friends and everything along those lines. So now that one is souring as well, because Modi has begun to push back on this tariffs that he's getting, because they're 50% tariffs and all along those lines. So he said India will never compromise on the interests of its farmers, livestock rearers, and fishermen, he said at a public event. And I'm fully aware that I may have to pay a very heavy price personally, but I'm prepared for it. So this is a man that also knows how to play the social media game as well. So in a social media graphic posted by his party, Modi is showing taking blows on his back from stones, bricks, and a dagger depicted as a tariff, while shielding a farmer with a plow on his shoulder and everything like that. So what's our thought about this bromance maybe breaking up?
Well, I mean, it's for a reason. In other words, he's putting pressure, and rightfully so, on India to back off buying all their oil from Russia. And so basically they're supporting the war against Ukraine. So, what he's going to do is slap huge tariffs on India. I think it's a great idea. Of course, the Indians are going to jump up and down. They're like progressives. Oh, you're hurting us. You're hurting us. You know what I say? I say like he says, progressives.
Right. So I have the numbers from an international survey. Pew Research surveyed people from 24 countries, and the average out of 19 out of 24, 19 out of 24 countries had majority no confidence in Trump. And the average across all countries was 62% no confidence, 34% confidence. And I'll tell you the 5 countries that have majority confidence in Trump: Hungary, India, Israel, Nigeria, Kenya. The other 19 countries, including France, Spain, Germany, Sweden, Japan, South Korea, Australia, no confidence. So
what?
What's that?
I mean, so what?
Well, I'm just saying that it's unlikely that Trump.
I don't think the president of the United States should be running for a popularity contest.
Hold on. I don't. He's not. He's the president of the U.S. But if you're talking about Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize, given this level of international not liking of him, it's ridiculously unlikely that he would win the Nobel Prize.
Who cares?
Well, speaking of that, there is
the Nobel Peace Prize is based on a group of people that believe that he has done something to achieve peace. And if he achieves peace between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which may be happening today in the White House, I mean, currently. And let me tell you, if he does the Russia-Ukraine war, then you can just give him the Nobel Peace Prize, and all you progressives can go cry in your soup like you're crying that the economy is collapsed. And it didn't. You're crying, oh, the tariffs are going to break the economy collapse.
Look, I'm not saying, all I'm saying,
I will remind the progressives, you are wrong again.
You're filibustering bullshit. I'm not saying the Nobel Peace Prize is at all important. You might remember that they gave Obama the Nobel Peace Prize for pretty much nothing, before he even took, or just when he took office and hadn't done anything yet. But that was the question at hand. Can Trump win the Nobel Prize? And I'm saying, just based on international surveys, there's no freaking way. We can argue about whether
it's not an international event where people internationally vote.
Let me help you out, because Rick is right. Let me explain why, because I see Nick is back to the old self of dropping in all this bogus mess.
Hold on.
Let me explain. Hold on, Nick. I got you, Nick. Because again, Rick is right. According to the surveys, there's no real way. Why? Because in the U.S., all we're looking at, because we're doing this whole partisan lens, especially yourself, with this whole idea that, Azerbaijan is going to be peaceful. Well, there's a genocide going on in Gaza right now that he's actually helping out on. There's also the war still in Ukraine, which he said he did in day one. There's also still what's going on in Iran, where that is not even over yet. So therefore, what I'm saying is, the whole world sees all this other stuff, and they're not blinded by the light where, oh my gosh, Trump is providing peace to Azerbaijan, who nobody knows where it is. Nobody knows what's going on in Azerbaijan. And then on top of that, you still got what's going on in Africa. You still got all these other outbreaks that are happening. But these things that he promised to make peaceful, he has yet to do. And he cannot do. Because what he's done in Gaza and Israel, because remember, he said he was going to bring that war to a close, but that's not what he did. He's actually bending the knee to Netanyahu and allowing Netanyahu to do whatever he wants, which is actually leading to the ethnic cleansing, which Trump actually advocated for, the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. That is not peace. That is the destruction of a people. So you cannot win the Nobel Peace Prize for that. The only reason, and I agree, Obama, I don't think should have won it, but I can understand the reason why he won it, because that goes all the way back to what Rick was talking about. Because honestly, when Obama came in, he was inspirational. He brought the world to a point where the world was excited about him, and it was an inspiring thing. So he brought the idea and the ideals of peace when he spoke. Do I think he should have won it? No, but he won it because of exactly what Rick is talking about. These global surveys, which you want to ignore, Nick. These global surveys and the ways that Obama was viewed was peaceful. What Trump has come in and done, nothing but, hey, destruction and chaos. That's all what Trump has done, and what everybody sees who's not blinded by the MAGA cult.
I mean, the Nobel Peace Prize is a little bit like the Golden Globes, where it's a fairly small committee of people, I assume, and nobody really knows how it works, and sometimes they get it right, and sometimes the results are weird. And overall, does it make a difference? I don't know. I mean, like when you look at the list of people who've won the Nobel Peace Prize, there's some really good choices. Like the women who formed a consortium to reduce the number of landmines in the world and actually achieved some progress. That seems like a deserving couple of people. You know.
Okay. I did listen to Jacoby's diatribe about how great his surveys were and how much you should believe the surveys.
Well, they're not great. They're just
not even what I said. So you
okay.
didn't even listen.
I'll remind this panel that this panel had Harris winning by a landslide because of the surveys that
nobody said that. Nobody said that at all. Nobody said that at all. What are you listening to? Nobody said that at all.
I agree again with Rick.
So you can take your surveys and just flush them down the toilet, please. And instead,
all right. So wait a second. I've admitted I was wrong in thinking she was going to win, but I didn't think she was going to win in a landslide. I thought she would eke it out, maybe win by 5 million votes, a couple million less than Biden won by. But I was wrong. And
this panel that Trump would be reelected after you said. I think Jacoby said She crushed him in the debates. She destroyed him in the debates.
She did.
He's so popular. She's going to win, and she did.
Based on the actual polling, she did crush him in the debates.
Oh, she crushed him in the polling. These are the same polls that you keep bringing up over and over again.
No one on this panel said that she was going to win by a landslide. Everybody on this panel said it was going to be close, which it actually was. So when you're up here making up stuff, remember, we do have video evidence of everybody saying that it was going to be close. So when you're just making up stuff to try and this is gaslighting, legitimate gaslighting.
Well, speaking of making up stuff and everything like that, hold on, I got to get to another issue that may impact his Nobel Prize and everything, because there is a small country not that far from the United States that is going through turmoil and all along those lines. They just recently named a new business person to head their country and everything, but now the gangs are saying that they might overthrow the government and everything. So if the gangs are threatening to overthrow the government, should we intervene in Haiti?
We've tried to intervene in Haiti. Haiti is a very effed up nation. It's been effed up for, I don't know, 30, depending on.
Oh yeah, but they can turn it around. They showed that in El Salvador. I think El Salvador did a great turnaround. They needed a strong man like Trump, which they got in El Salvador, and he started incarcerating these gangs and putting people away. And people, of course, the progressives, oh, you shouldn't do this. This one's innocent. And after they arrested 30,000 of them, not innocent. And they caught a couple of innocent people. And the progressives, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. And you know what they did? They turned El Salvador around. So Haiti needs a strong man to come in and clean that place up. Right now, it's run by gangs. And, it is what it is. It's the eyesore of the Western Hemisphere until they clean it up.
Well, we'll see what happens with this new business.
Just point out, you might not want to use El Salvador as your beacon of hope, because El Salvador is extremely corrupt. That's like saying, hey, you know what? Right now, what we want to do is be like Russia. That's exactly the same thing that you're doing right now. The amount of corruption that's still going on in El Salvador, you might not want to be that place. The amount of crime, and then on top of that, what you're claiming is that you're happy that we're trying to build for-profit internment camps now in the U.S. with Alligator Alcatraz, and now trying to reopen Alcatraz and all this other dumb stuff. But you're ecstatic about that because that is what they did in El Salvador, and the government still is corrupt. And on top of that, are you for now, I guess, no term limits on a president? Because that's actually what they went for in El Salvador. And so,
speaking of Alligator Alcatraz, that did get paused. I didn't mention that yesterday, but the federal judge has issued a temporary restraining order pausing construction on Alligator Alcatraz. So there might be some conflict as to whether they can actually get that place built and everything like that, because the judge did order a halt on construction, at least for now.
Alcatraz itself, the actual Alcatraz off the coast of San Francisco, was never for profit. It was always like a big money loser because there's no road to Alcatraz. Everything has to be brought in by ship. That was the idea, that you put all the worst of the worst on this rock where they can't escape from it. It would cost tens of millions of bucks to turn Alcatraz from kind of a tourist attraction back into a functioning prison, and it would, you would get no return on your money.
Yeah. Well, why are you all of a sudden worried about that when you're willing to spend billions on internet for all? There's no return on that investment.
I'm just at some point. That Trump big noise about turning Alcatraz
into the sacred cows of the progressives shan't be slaughtered.
You're all right. You're just
at some point, Nick. You got to get off of me.
This is a real government function.
No, it's not. It's not a real government function. It's not at all. what a real government function is.
Internet for all is not.
But you've got to get off the topic of as your catch-all for everything, because it is showing.
Tell me why internet and climate change.
Your defenses are. Your arguments seem to all wrap around back to, oh, we're spending too much money. Yet Rick points out the expense around trying to fix Alcatraz to make it usable, and the amount that it took to keep Alcatraz running. And you went to Internet for All, which Internet for All is just one expense that actually brings in money. Alcatraz does not bring in money.
Alcatraz only was operating for 29 years. It only operated from 34 to 1963. Because it turned out to be this huge pain in the ass, and they figured out ways to like supermax prisons eventually to hold the worst criminals without the huge logistical issues of dealing with Alcatraz.
Let's go ahead for Nick, because he wants to bring back Alcatraz. He doesn't understand, I guess, technology evolving. But Nick, let's go ahead and bring Betamax back. Let's bring back.
And I hope they spend several hundred million building a nice ballroom in Washington, D.C., because that is a government function, not internet.
That's not a government function either. Also, did you
know
notice?
Go play video games.
Also, just to point out, he's trying to
that's not a government function, because Trump says he's going to build the ballroom with private funds, donations, and which is really a grifting opportunity for Trump to.
That calls for a hypothetical. I object.
Yeah, but okay.
As we've been down that road before, we know there are private foundations in the United States that are required by law to distribute 5% of their net worth annually to various good causes. And so
the ballroom is not a good cause. The ballroom is a personal choice.
That is made up news on the Pod TV.
No, Nick.
Former viewer.
Counsel.
Here.
Hold on, counsel. You're gaslighting again. Let me point out. Counsel, hold on. Counsel, again, you said that there are entities out there that have to take 5%. I'm taking your words. You're saying that there are entities out there that have to take 5% of their earnings and put that towards a good cause. Yep. Your claim is that a personal choice by a president is a quote unquote a personal choice to change his living area is a good cause.
Oh, it's not just for him, it's for generations.
No, it's for him. It's for him, because the next president will come in and decide, I don't like the gold plating, and I don't like the gold. Wait, Nick, hold on. Nick, you just answered. I want to continue. You answer my question. Let me finish my point. Real quick, because you said it was a good cause for a personal choice. Because you're saying that. Are you saying that the next president then cannot come in and say, I dislike this gold plating and I want to spend $400 million to take away all this gold plating that Trump is putting into the White House and into this ballroom? So that is a good cause, spending now more money to revamp this whole.
No, it is possible. It's possible that a next president does such a thing, especially if he's a Democrat, which is one reason everybody votes for Republicans.
For a gold-plated
this way, once it's done, as opposed to bring in some left-wing.
You're not answering. You went down some path that doesn't even matter. You went down some path that doesn't even matter. I'm asking you a simple question, and it's a direct question. So, counsel, you can answer that question, or you can keep skirting and gaslighting. So my direct can the next president who comes into play or comes into that office, can that next president come in and say, hey, I dislike this gold plating? And because it's my personal choice, because only Trump is big into this whole gold plating thing, that's his whole thing. He's got a golden toilet. So if the next president comes in and says, I don't like this gold plating, I want some wood finishing because I'm more of a rustic individual and I like that seaside look. So I want the ballroom to have this rustic look, and I'm going to spend $400 million. I'm a Republican because, I'm conservative and I like that. So, hey, you're going to be okay with this personal choice then?
As I said, that calls for a hypothetical, Counselor.
But
we can
right
talk
now
more about the ball.
What happens if there's a nuclear war and they
here we go. Nuclear war pact.
destroy everything? Then what you going to do?
Hey, speaking of nuclear wars, I got a question. What I'm saying, getting off the ballroom, I got a question for you. Why are we putting a nuclear reactor on the moon? I'm still trying to figure this out because that is something else.
It's a grift. It is a waste of money.
So wait, who's putting a nuclear reactor on the moon?
The United States is looking at putting a nuclear reactor on the moon.
The administration has put their NASA director to go ahead and say that he wants to put a nuclear reactor on the moon, which is a dumb idea, which will never happen. It is just a grift to say, hey, we're going to do something in science because we saw this on a TV show. It is an impossibility.
Maybe they should defund NASA. They should probably have done that one.
No, what they should do is actually
Then
fund
the thing is, if
but they don't
private
fund
industry wants to
science because
fund
science
that,
goes against all of what MAGA believes.
That's not a good one. Get rid of it.
Hey, Nick, speaking of science, two of your favorite people were in the news, and you're going to love why they were in the news and everything like that because they were featured. And I know that I'm being sarcastic when I call them your favorite people and everything because you have said that there are certain jobs that you don't really understand or like and all that much. One of them being an archaeologist, and apparently archaeologists have done some research on the Pompeii ruins and found that people actually came back after it was ruined and returned to live in Pompeii. And then there's like this whole PBS series, which I know you're a big fan of PBS, called Pompeii: The New Dig, House of Treasurers Review, and all along those lines. So PBS actually do some good things. Because I was also watching a documentary featuring Spike Lee looking at his slave ancestry and finding out that he actually had an ancestor named Mars, which is the character of his first major movie that he played and everything along those lines. And all along those lines, but he found out that he actually had a relative that was a slave that was named that. And he also found a white relative that's a third cousin twice removed that he went and talked to. So he did some serious research going around Georgia, Texas, and a number of other places. So wouldn't that be a case of PBS actually doing some good by showing some historical elements?
So what's the issue, Counselor?
No, you've said that you're not that big of a fan of PBS or archaeology.
No, I didn't say that. I actually, we donate annually to PBS. What I'm saying is, and I'll repeat it again because apparently the progressive don't get this. It is not a government function for the government to fund media. So the thing is, I don't object to you donating, and I don't object to me donating, and I do donate to PBS. But PBS should not be sucking off the federal government. Period. The end. It's not a government function.
All right,
so let's
talk about the government function of sending a nuclear reactor to the moon. The project.
No, I wouldn't send a nuclear reactor to the moon.
Wait. So it's estimated to cost $93 billion. And Sean Duffy, the guy in charge of what
No, I wouldn't send a nuclear reactor to the moon. That's ridiculous.
Why? There's nothing up there to power with a reactor.
Yeah, of course, it's stupid. It's an incredibly dumb idea.
So the head of NASA, wait. The head of NASA, this former MTV Real World guy, said we need to get up there and start putting stuff there so we can claim the moon for America, which is against all international treaties.
Sure, I think that head of NASA should be either fired if he's on the government payroll, which he probably is, or better,
Trump
is
guy.
to take him off the government payroll and let private industry support NASA. We should not be supporting NASA. There's absolutely no reason. This is not government.
Speaking of
people around in space. And from a government, and I'm talking about this government, who doesn't have the money and can't afford it. So I would do like he's doing the Department of Education, eliminate NASA from the government. But if you want to support him, go ahead. I have no problem.
Hold on, Mark. Just point out, this is the craziness Nick is talking about. One, It's a Trump guy who's saying this. It's a Trump election official who's saying this. It's a Trump dude. So honestly, that's what you voted for. So number two,
he fires people like that all the time.
Wait. Number two,
you know that, Jatoti.
Hold on, wait. I'm just pointing out. This is what you're pushing.
I'm pointing out that people like that get determined.
You're pushing out the Trump guys. This is your dude that you celebrate.
Well, as you just said earlier, Modi's a Trump guy. No, he's not.
The guy that we're talking about right now is a Trump guy. He's a Trump elected official or a Trump who Trump chose. This is Trump's dude. This is what you wanted. This is the FO stage. So what I'm also pointing out, also in terms of the actual monies, money should go to science. Money has to go to science. If we want to lead,
go ahead and write.
Wait. Let me finish. If we want to lead the world in anything, money has to go to actual science. And what NASA has done and what NASA has provided for this country, as well as the world, as well as all the things that we actually use, including the internet, to all. So all these things.
Do you know where in the Constitution, says money have to go to science?
So do you know?
Show me that.
Do you know? Hold on, Nick. Hold on.
Can you show me that in the Constitution?
Nick, hold on. Based on your reading of the Constitution and what we should provide money for and everything, we'll live in the dark ages and always be like a country that struggles and would be a third world country if we just lived on what you're expecting to spend on the actual Constitution and all this other stuff. We will be a third world country. That constitutional stuff.
That was not true.
Number two, in terms of spending money on science, the stuff that is provided by NASA, from Kevlar to all the other things that we use in computers and all this other stuff, and actually even the scientific technology around cancers, all this stuff is stuff that was provided by NASA and all this sciences that we have to utilize. Ozempic, one of the biggest sellers right now, that came from science. What they're trying to figure out ways to, I just read an article today, which they figured out, well, they're working on an actual way where to provide vaccines instead of shots, they can utilize actual dental floss, which would be awesome because the vaccine technology has come, years away. That's science. But this is stuff that the Trump administration goes against. Why? Because it goes against their beliefs. They are anti-science in every way. And that's the sad part in where we are. Because that's why, what's his name? Kennedy is pulling the mRNA studies and money from that. This is why you're talking about closing the Department of Education, which really doesn't even set the standards towards actual, hey, these are the standards of what we're teaching. That's not what the Department of Education really does. It actually provides equality across the board for all the students that actually go to these things. So, and that's all the funding and everything else. But you don't want that. So just pointing out that being anti-science puts us back to that third world country, which is what you keep actually arguing for.
Anti-science and anti-experts. Again, earlier this call, Nick says that he knows better than the experts from the historians, presidential scholars
it's really sad.
Have had that. Yeah, I'm going there, Nick. Have said that Trump is near the bottom of, these are experts, and Nick said he knows better than them. So this is MAGA. Yeah. This is MAGA, anti-science, anti-expert. I love the comedy. I love the arguments of Nick trying to defend his position. It's hilarious.
Hey, Nick, just really quickly. Hey, Nick, hold on a second. Just really quickly, because I looked it up just out of curiosity. Science is mentioned a few times. Hold on a second. Science is mentioned a few times in the Constitution. It's mentioned under intellectual property, where they talk about promoting the progress of science and useful arts. It's also mentioned under inventorship and utility. So it is actually mentioned within the Constitution, this notion of science and everything like that. So it is a constitutional issue, and you as a lawyer should have known that.
No, that's not what I said, not what Jatoti said. What I said is that there's no requirement for the federal government to fund science in the Constitution. And that is the true statement.
But I'm saying
semantic argument. A semantic argument. Really?
Really. There isn't it. So look at it. Show me where it says Show me where it says in the Constitution it's mandated that the U.S. government funds science. It doesn't exist.
There's a whole section over
Show me
trademark.
in the
There's a whole section over
Constitution
trademark.
where it says transgender girls cannot compete in women's sports.
What'd you say, Toby?
Show me in the Constitution where it says transgender girls cannot compete in women's sports.
Oh, it doesn't. There's nothing.
So then your argument is moot.
No, A has nothing to do with B. You know, the thing is, the
exactly.
transgender
It has nothing to do with B.
as we all know, we addressed by the
Your
Supreme
argument.
Court.
Well, show me in the Constitution where it says.
But in terms of science, must be funded by the U.S. government. There's nothing in there that says it has to.
Science.
And
What is my
just
argument, though,
to
Nick?
recognize
Nick,
that
this is why I said
there
it was a
was
romantic
no
argument. It has nothing to do with
income tax until like
Nick,
1930.
Nick.
Support the
This
science.
was my argument. My argument was that the government or science must be funded if we want to lead the world. That was what I stated, plain as day.
Nick doesn't know.
And I stated quite correctly, Counselor, that calls for a hypothetical. We know that
Nick doesn't know that there's a role for government.
companies in San Francisco.
Nick,
Apple,
incorrect.
Facebook,
Incorrect.
Twitter,
Nick.
Microsoft.
No, Nick.
Intel.
Wait.
NVIDIA. That's where the innovation is.
It has been proven in our history that the investments in science and technologies is what led us to our golden age. That is what we keep talking about. Oh, we led the world. We led the world. You know why we were leading the world? Because we made the investments in science and technologies during that time and led the world in science and technologies. That is what that is what gave us the boom in sciences across the globe. When we were leading,
that's your opinion.
Money,
I mean, a lot of this is driven by private industry. So you think
No, but even private, but Nick, even private industry. Hold on a second, because this came up since 1790. It says Congress has protected copyrights and patents in some form under federal law since 1790. So under the APA law, copyright and patents are based on the utilitarian rationale that exclusive rights are necessary to provide incentives to create new artistic works and technological inventions.
Yes, but that's for private industry, Mark. If you looked at Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, it grants Congress the power to, quote, promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing exclusive rights for authors and individuals. It says nothing about the government funding it. That is a progressive myth. And everything has to come from the government. That is absolutely.
You know that progressive has what made Western democracies.
By the way, this is our Constitution, not yours. So we're arguing our Constitution.
Governments have a role because private industry cannot fund leading edge research. So governments have a role that they need to fund because capitalism can't do it on its own.
Because I want to come back to PBS, because this has caught me off guard. One of our local PBS stations here and everything like that. I don't know if Jacoby saw this, but because of the funding cuts and everything, they have to come up with some innovative ways to get funding. So they're actually asking people to donate their hoopties so that they can then sell the hoopties and everything in order to raise some money because of how much the money has been cut. So that's what WNCU is doing and everything, because I saw that on their website. So they're actually asking people.
They'll innovate and they'll figure ways to get money from the private industry. What's wrong with that? Everybody tries to lean on these people in Congress. And I'm going to remind the progressives that they're $36 trillion in debt because of your stupid progressive agendas that have been going on for decades. And with that, they have no money. That group is broke. So what they need to do is turn this ship around and turn it around pretty quick. And that's to stop funding all these.
Well, speaking of shifting around, since I got you on the air and everything along those lines, I need two things from you, Nick. I need you to get in touch with Barbara, because Barbara needs some situation with Washington Duke and all along those lines. And also, you might want to jump on the Ukraine-Russia show, because they keep bugging me about the progress of you getting them on Fox. And
you know what I'll do? I'll turn over the Fox people to I'll turn them over to John. In other words, John can communicate with directly. I don't even know why I'm involved. I'll send them the emails so they can do it. In terms of Durham, I can't do anything about that. I live in Raleigh.
Say what?
Well, I can't do anything about Waduk. I live in Barcelona.
Yeah, but I thought you were still a member of the Iron Dukes.
What?
Aren't you a member of the Iron Dukes?
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to be there physically, and I'm not going to fly over there to drop a card off. I can't do that. It's too far. And then fly back. I fly enough as it is. But, I'm flying out tomorrow morning to go to Prague, and I got the week in the Czech Republic, and I'm not going to be on any of the shows. So you guys can dominate the airwaves about how great the progressives are, even though they're not in power, and how bad Trump is, even though he is in power. And good luck with that wonderful conversation. I'm just trying to bring sense to the senseless.
Oh, that's what you're trying to do.
Also, I like to see Jacoby laugh every now. I need to have him to have a good time. I want Jacoby not to be happy. Let's put it. So yeah, but thank you also for bringing out Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, dealing with Congress having, quote, power to promote progress of science and useful arts by securing exclusive rights for authors and inventors. Nothing about we're going to take money from poor taxpayers and spend it.
But they said innovation as well in technology, which would be the internet, by the way.
Well, I mean,
there's a the Constitution where they're going to take
run by private industry. I mean, if innovation has come from. I mean, if you look at NVIDIA, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, you look at Microsoft, you look at AI. Name me which company that's AI that's owned by the federal government.
Name me here.
Apple just get a major deal from the government.
I got a good one.
Nick,
I got you. Name me one of these companies that did not start off with either a small business loan or a government loan they all suck from the government. I know. Name me one of them that was.
I know they all suck from the federal government.
So
the thing is, I don't know how many suck from the federal government, but that has to be. When you're 36 trillion in the hole, you've got to stop the handouts. And frankly, the other thing I don't know is how much of this growth on these AI
Trump is jacking
selling their products to the U.S. government, whose taxpayers are funding it, don't even know they're funding.
But Trump is adding $4 trillion.
We'll find out. We'll find out as time goes by. And
Trump is adding more.
Hi guys, yes, it's legal to arrest. It's legal to arrest Democrats. Just throw your Democratic thing and you'll be and I think we're getting ready to go. So we have to do a TV show on Epstein Island. I think that would be a great TV show. Mark, Epstein Island. We should have a TV show on that. And we can relate that to Alcatraz Island, Epstein Island.
So you're going to do a fictional Big Brother? Because I was actually just watching Big Brother yesterday. We're going to put all these people in the house and get them kicked out, even though some of the people are passed away, so they'll be like in a fictional house. That's what it sounded like Nick was talking about, was a fictional Big Brother.
Yeah, that's scary. I do not want to be associated with anything like that.
Get downright scared. On that note, I'm gonna get out of here. We'll have some more world news on tomorrow. Monday.
All right.
Later.